Is there Arab cultural influence on Israeli society? And if there is, to what extent?
First of all, I'd say that Israel is part of the Arab world. As much as the Arab world doesn't want it to be part of it, it is. Israel is a Middle Eastern country, and there is obviously not only is there Middle Eastern influences in this country, but the country creates its own Middle Eastern influences by itself. A lot of the music, the culture, is very much Middle Eastern. It's not a Western culture here. So what you said is whether Arab culture influences it. I mean, that itself is also a very difficult question, because what is Arab culture? Is Arab culture a Muslim culture? Is it Christian culture? Is it Jewish culture? Jews have been living in the Middle East ever since Abraham was born. And so have Muslims and Christians. We are very much a Middle Eastern people. The Jews, as ourselves, are Middle Eastern people. So a lot of whether to know what is Arabic or what is not, what is Jewish, it's hard to distinguish. For example, many of the musicians back in the time before the establishment of the State of Israel, the musicians in the Arab world were almost all Jewish. One of the greatest singers of Egypt, she was a Jewish singer. I had a professor of Arabic in Yeshiva University. His name was Professor White. He basically told me that when the Jews left Yemen, they did to music like what would happen to the NBA if America would kick out all their black African American players. Jews were very much a vital part of the music scene in the Arab world. And once the Yemenite Jews were kicked out of Yemen, the music very much suffered. What was very interesting is actually a few years ago, Ofra Hazan, who was actually a very famous Israeli singer here in Israel, actually went to Yemen and actually sang to people in Yemen, and they loved her music. And a lot of Arabs and Arab cultures and Arab countries actually like Israeli music. So it's we in ourselves are producer of pretty much what people may consider Arabic culture, but I prefer to say it's a Middle Eastern Mediterranean culture.
Okay. Well, how then would you define the term Arab? And how do you think most people understand the term Arab as a description?
So for me, Arab is someone who pretty much comes from the Arabian Peninsula, because that's where the word comes from. People that would come from Lebanon, I would call them Phoenicians. People that were from the coast of Gaza, I'd call them Plishtim.
Okay. So you wouldn't, technically, in your opinion, you wouldn't say Egyptians are Arabs?
No, Egyptians are Egyptians.
Okay.
Or they could also, I mean, according to some people, the original Egyptians have disappeared, and the Egyptians that exist today are not the original Egyptians. So there could be some sort of North Africans, or as they say in Israel, Maghrabin, Maghrebi, or which means like the Westerners, like people from.
Do you have some kind of basis for saying that Arabs are those local to the Arabian Peninsula?
Oh yeah, because that's where the original Arab word comes from. We don't really find any word for Arab as a people anywhere in ancient texts.
Okay.
Probably the closest thing to the word Arab by its root itself, Arab, which would mean the West.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the original Hebrew of what Arab means, which means West.
Okay.
So, I mean, we are in Southwest Asia. So that's definitely, you know, you can consider that like the West.
And can you give maybe some other examples of, let's say, if most people define the term more along the lines of Middle Eastern culture when they say Arab?
So that is a big mistake, especially in the United States.
Okay.
When they say Arab, they think the Middle Eastern is Arab, and that's not true. The Middle East is filled with all different types of people, from and most of there's Arabs, but there's also Turks who are not Arabs. You have Persians who are from Iran, who are ethnically and culturally very different from Arabs, and they have a different language. You have Kurds, who are very ethnically and culturally different. You have Armenians, who are culturally and ethnically different. You have the Druze, who are culturally and ethnically different. There's very different kinds of cultures that make up the Middle East. We're a multi-ethnic region.
Okay. So what examples of Middle Eastern culture would you say exist in Israeli culture, then, if we define it that way?
So one thing would be the music.
Okay.
You have people like the Mizrahi musicians, like Adam Omer. You have musicians such as Eyal Golan, who got in trouble recently for things I'm not going to mention on video. But you have a lot of different Israeli musicians that their music is very much Middle Eastern in both the style,
okay,
the way that they sing it, and you even see it that Arabs in other countries will actually listen to the music. They'll hate Israel, and they'll say like, I want to boycott Israel 100%, but I love Adam Omer, I listen to it all the time.
Right, and would you say that the Middle Eastern culture that exists in Israel, is it predominantly coming from Muslim Arabs or Muslim locals, or is it coming from some other source? And what is that source, if you think?
I'll say it comes from both,
Okay.
the Jewish and Arab sources.
Okay.
Because the majority of Jews that live in Israel have origins in Middle Eastern countries. I myself, my family originates from Turkey.
Okay.
You know, that's a very Middle Eastern kind of culture. I grew up eating borekas,
Okay.
which is a Middle Eastern dish, which is found everywhere. So you have Jews like myself, or even more, who are even more inside the Middle East, like people from Iraq, people from Lebanon, people from Misr, Israel, Egypt.
And do they constitute a substantial portion of the Israeli population?
I
or
would say
just-
it's about half, or a
Okay.
little more than half. Right now the Israeli Sephardim or Mizrahim, who are from Arab countries and Muslim countries, have very much mixed a lot with the Ashkenazi European Jews.
Okay.
So I'd say that most Jews there are half.
You mean genetically?
Genetically, are half Middle Easterners.
Yeah,
and-
there are studies
and
that
half
back that
European.
up. That already the majority of native-born Israeli Jews are of local Middle Eastern descent. Okay, and what are your thoughts about the terrorist attacks in Egypt yesterday? Do you think it makes a difference that innocent Christians die, or does it not matter? Is it good? What do you think?
Egypt has had a very long problem with Coptic Christians.
Okay.
For the fact that they are Demis and they live in a fully Muslim country, even though, you know, the Muslim Brotherhood was overthrown about 3 or 4 years ago, and even though there's a military junta that's controlling Egypt, you still have a lot of Muslims who do not want there to be another religion other than Islam.
Okay.
So what's happening in Egypt is something that's been going on for a very long time, and there's always been terrorist attacks and Christians have been murdered, and the government has not reacted properly to it because they just don't see the urgency and people just don't seem to care as much.
Okay.
And also, the military itself and the government itself is not like in Israel, where if that were to happen here, you know, people would literally be on their Facebook. Donald Glover has a thing, like he says a skit where, like, let's say if someone was sold into slavery, you know, you can't get away with that today. Because someone would write on Facebook, WTF? You know, like, someone would write up, like, you know, I was just kidnapped and sold into slavery. Oh my God, that happened to you? WTF? Right? In Egypt, however, there's a big military censorship.
Okay.
And, you know, a little bit of press did get out that Coptic Christians were killed, and they are a persecuted minority in Egypt for centuries, because of the Islamic supremacy that existed in Egypt, and it's existed for a very long time.
And so who was there first in Egypt, the Copts or the Muslims?
So the Copts have been there before the Muslims.
Okay.
The Copts actually go back to the Gnostic Gospels,
Okay.
back at the time when Christianity was rising. The Copts are actually probably one of the original founders of Christianity. in
Okay.
itself. So
And
they were obviously there way before Muhammad came up ever. So the religion was there before.
Okay.
And it's distinctly Egyptian, and it's distinctly from that region.
Okay. And the fact that Christians died in those bombings of the churches in Egypt, a lot of people who hate Israel or who hate Jews, they have this idea that Jews relish in the fact that non-Jews die, or they think that Jews hate Christians so much that like we celebrate when they die. I mean, of course, you know, there's the hearsay that Jews sacrifice Christian babies on Passover, and in the Muslim world, there's the idea that Jews sacrifice a Muslim baby. So, what is your opinion on that? Are you happy that Christians died?
Well, I'm not happy that anyone dies that's innocent. You know, I served in the military, and we would always try our best to avoid civilian casualties.
All right.
And we'd always try our best to preserve life. You know, we were so we would always try to.
But only Jewish life, right?
Any kind of life.
Okay.
I remember once there was an operation, and I was in Nabi Salah.
Okay.
And the Arabs called us. Now, these are Arabs in Nabi Salah are very hostile to Israel.
Okay.
And they would always throw rocks at cars. So I remember I was there once, and they called the army, and they called us. And because there was a little girl who was having seizures, uncontrollable seizures. You know, we ordered 669 to come pick her up and take her to an Israeli hospital. You know, to say that Israel doesn't care about anyone that isn't Jewish is a lie, and it's not true. We care for all types of people. After the Bosnia, during the Bosnian conflict, we took in refugees.
Well, what about the examples that people find on YouTube or maybe from personal experience of Jews being mean to non-Jews or showing hatred towards Arabs?
So,
what do you feel about that? Does that represent most of
it
Israeli
doesn't represent
society?
most Israeli society. I mean, again,
Do you deny that it exists?
it exists. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's not like I was in Orange County, California.
Okay.
There's tons of skinheads and neo-Nazis that live there.
Okay.
You know, I'm not going to judge all Orange County and say they're all Nazis just because there's a few skinheads that live there. It's the same thing with Israel. There's obviously, extreme elements in every society. Just like in Germany, there's the extreme right, also Nazis, and the rise of this ultra-right nationalism that's happening in Germany, in France.
If you could just non-scientifically throw a statistical percentage of the amount of Israelis who celebrate the death of Christians or innocent Muslims when they hear about it.
I would say it would have to be less than half to 1%.
Okay.
Because even, for example, I live in Kiryat Arba, Hebron.
Okay.
We have, in the region, settlers have an organization called the Roots of Friendship.
Okay.
And what they do is they try to bring Arabs and Jews together and to make a dialogue between each other. And we have also big leaders like Yehuda Glick,
Okay.
who is a member of parliament, who lives in a town south of me in the West Bank called Othniel. And, you know, he wants to improve the lives of Arab citizens that live in Israel. And he wants to help them have education, healthcare. So, I mean, this is the majority of Israelis. And this is the majority of what's happened since the beginning of the state. Ben-Gurion himself thought that we could win over Arab favoritism if we give them education, if we give them better lives, housing, if we give them the opportunities, you know, they will like us.
Okay.
And that was a flaw that has been going on ever since, but it's still very much in the Israeli psyche.
Okay.
For example, during the 70s and early 80s, the Haifa University used to bring a bunch of high school Arabs to visit Haifa University to inspire them to go to college. And they would trash the place. They would trash the university. Now, you know, obviously they're young kids, and maybe they like to goof around and whatnot. But they still kept the program going because they believed in trying to get the Arab population to get an education and improve their lives. And in return, the Israelis believe, and they still have this belief, that we can make Arabs like us for being good to them.
All right. Well, I guess that brings us into a whole topic that we don't really have time for, but maybe we'll get to speak again.
Yeah.
Would you agree to that? Awesome.